Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, January 17th, start of a new week. And I thought I'd kind of start this one with a couple of observations. First of all, today is Martin Luther King Day, probably one of the greatest human beings that's ever graced this planet. And I only can imagine what he could have accomplished had he still been alive today. But thank you, Dr. King, for being everything you were and everything you left as a legacy, much of which lives on and much of which is still a constant battle on a daily basis for people. The other thing is my heart goes out, certainly, after seeing this volcanic eruption take place. And from what I understand, a lot of damage to the island of Tonga. And the thing that struck me was back, I think, in the early '80s, I did an album with the president of Tonga, and it was just an absolute hoot. I think Carlos played drums on it, maybe Greg Matheson played keyboards, and then they wanted us to play a private party for him, and we were going to do it, and then something happened and it didn't come off, but we were going to call our band Luau and the Fabulous Lays for him. But it broke my heart when all of a sudden I see Tonga in the news, that it welled back all of that, those memories of that album, but then to see, the volcanic devastation and the issues with tsunamis that these earthquakes and volcanoes can create is just unbelievable, especially in island nations where they're right at sea level, and you get an appreciable tsunami, and it can be so devastating, it can wipe them completely off the face of the earth. So my thoughts are with them. Musically today, I've done a video about her in the past, but I think these kind of people are worth revisits. I've done many albums with them, and I picked another album project that we did, and kind of the backbone of this entire industry that I'm in is songwriters, and this is one of the preeminent songwriters of our generation, and that's Carole Bayer Sager. And I did an album with her. This one is Sometimes Late at Night from 1981. We recorded this. And I pulled up some Wikipedia. I'll just give you a little info because Carole's info is deep and extensive and still is going on today. I mean, it's not like this is a voice of the past. This is a contemporary writer, but who's been at it for a long time. Her first pop hit was A Groovy Kind of Love that she wrote with Tony Wine while still a student at New York City's High School of Music and Art. It was recorded by the Mindbenders, Wayne Montana and the Mindbenders during the British invasion, whose version was a worldwide hit, reaching #2 on the Billboard Hot 100. Song later recorded by Sonny and Cher, Petula Clark, and Phil Collins. I mean, I did this with Phil. The latter whose rendition for the film Busted reached #1 in 1988. Carole Sager's first recording as a singer was in 1977 album Carole Bayer Sager, produced by Brooks Arthur. Brooks did all of her work he was involved with. Included the hits You're Moving Out Today, a song she co-wrote with Bette Midler and Bruce Roberts. The single became a 1977 Australian #1 single and reached #6 in the UK singles chart. Paul Buckmaster provided the horn and string arrangements for the album. God, I loved working with Paul. Yeah, that was another sad loss to the industry, was when he passed. The album also included Carole Sager's versions of 2 songs previously recorded by Melissa Manchester, Home to Myself, and the often covered Come In From the Rain. It went platinum in Japan and Australia. It was followed by 2 in 1978, TOO. Also produced by Brooks Arthur, which included all-star cameos by the likes of Michael McDonald, Alice Cooper, and Melissa Manchester. It also included the first recording of It's the Falling in Love, which subsequently would be covered by Michael Jackson in his multi-platinum album Off the Wall. Her final album, 1981, Sometimes Late at Night, which is the one that I have here, was co-produced by future husband Burt Bacharach with Brooks Arthur and included the single Stronger Than Before, later recorded by Chaka Khan and Dionne Warwick. The song became Bayer Sager's only song to hit the Billboard's American Top 40 as a performer, peaking at 30. The track Just Friends featured a vocal cameo by Michael Jackson, who also co-produced the track with Burt Bacharach, while Neil Diamond also co-produced and played guitar on the track On the Way to the Sky, which he also recorded as the title track of his concurrent album, On the Way to the Sky. Now it just gets into her songwriting here a bit. I mean, it's so extensive. It's worth looking at artists like this. Bayer Sager had many hits during the 70s. She co-wrote many songs with Melissa Manchester that appeared on Manchester's solo albums of the period, including Come In From the Rain and Midnight Blue, which would go on to be covered by many other artists. She also worked with Australian songwriter Peter Allen. I had the good fortune of doing several albums with Peter, creating hits like I'd Rather Leave While I'm in Love, Don't Cry Out Loud. She also scored major hits collaborating with Albert Hammond, When I Need You, and Bruce Roberts, You're the Only One. It goes on with her working with Marvin Hamlish and Neil Simon on their Playing Our Song. She's won an Academy Award, Grammys, 2 Golden Globe Awards. She was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame, won the Academy Award for Best Original Song for Arthur's Theme. A Grammy Award for That's What Friends Are For. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. I mean, it's really quite remarkable. She has a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and let's see. Oh, God, you should just read it. It's really quite remarkable what she's accomplished in her career. And I see her every day on Facebook. She's very active in social media. But I'm going to go ahead and play some songs from this album, Sometimes Late at Night, which, again, we recorded in 1981. And this is Carole Bayer Sager. And the first song I'm going to do is You Don't Know Me, which was written by Carole Bayer Sager and Burt Bacharach. And it's myself, Jim Keltner on drums, Lee Ritenour on guitar, and Burt Bacharach on piano. So here we go. Oh, let me turn on my Bluetooth little speaker here. I forgot to. This is why you need an assistant sometimes. You know, just go through the checklist. Let's see how we're doing. Hold on one sec. Actually, these are both mixed up here. You Don't Know Me. This one is different here because this one starts with flugelhorn. So this one it was written by Carole and Peter Allen, and it's myself and Jeff Porcaro, Lee Ritenour, Mike Lang on piano, Ed Walsh on synth, Warren Looning on flugelhorn, and arranged by Marvin Hamlish. So this is You Don't Know Me. Just a nice way to start the week.
You don't know me. If you did, you would know if I loved you. Part of it's trust. Part of it's just being. When you loved me, did you know how I lived my life for you? gone, you walk away, you move on. If you loved me, even now, would you watch while I leave you? Maybe you would. Maybe I'll still be here. You don't know me. Don't try anymore. When it's gone, you walk away. You move on. If you loved me, if you did, would you watch while I leave you? Maybe you will. Maybe I will still be here, trying to let go. You don't know me.
It was a funny video on YouTube. I cut it off at the end like that. That was arranged by Marvin Hamlish. He did it. This is You and Me. It was so funny that there was 2 tracks on the album, You Don't Know Me and You and Me. This is written by Carole Sager and Burt Bacharach, and it's myself and Jim Keltner, Lee Ritenour on guitar, and Burt Bacharach on piano. So here we go on this one.
You and me, we wanted it all.
So many people have covered this, geez.
We wanted it all. Passion without pain, sunshine without rainy days. We wanted it always. You and me, we reached for the sky. The limit was high. Never giving in, certain we would win that prize. I should have seen it in your eyes. Look how all our dreams came true. See how I've got me, and baby you've got you. And through it all, just one thing died. A little thing called love, a feeling deep inside. You and me, we're not like the rest. We once were the best. Back when we were dumb, just one thing died, a little thing called love, a feeling deep inside. You and me, we're not like the rest. We once were the best. Look what we became. Isn't it a crying shame that we almost made it, but we wanted it all? We wanted it all. We wanted it all.
I believe that was again Warren Looning on flugelhorn on that. Just beautiful charts. She always reminded me of like the female Paul Williams. I mean, just this great lyricist and just this not a big vocalist voice, just a storyteller voice that can really do their songs justice in terms of telling you the story that they want to tell you on it. And I always am so appreciative of when I get to do albums with just real great songwriters, and you really hear how they do their songs, like with Carole or Neil Sedaka, the James Taylors. I mean, there are some that have like amazing instruments, and there's others who are just, it's like when Burt Bacharach, I've done albums with Burt, and it's a mood that they create that's really amazing. Here's a song called Wild Again, and this was written by Carole and Burt again, and this was myself and Jeff Porcaro, Lee Rittenauer. Burt's playing piano on this, and Burt Bacharach and Ed Walsh are both playing synth, and Richard Page is co-lead vocal on this, and backgrounds, and Richard Page from the band Mr. Mister. So here we are, Wild Again.
Someone that I used to love's come back to town. He's walking on familiar ground. He knows his way around. Hey, now did he know? I was not expecting that he'd say hello. It seems so very long ago. So much he didn't know. And as for me, I don't wanna be that wild again. I don't wanna be that helpless child who believes what you would say, then watches you walk away. Did you know? Are you sure? If I held you again, you knew your way around. And as for me, I don't wanna be that wild again.
Looking for royalty-free music?
Unreal.
Discover
The last second of the song and a commercial comes on. Gotta love YouTube. Oh, Jesus. I'll do one last tune here, then I'm going to get running. I have a lot of things to get done today. This is called I Won't Break, and it's Carole Bayer Sager, Burt Bacharach, and Peter Allen wrote this, and it's myself and Jeff Porcaro, Lee Rittenauer, Mike Lang on Rhodes, Burt on piano, Ed Walsh on synth, George Young on sax, and Richard Page and Steve George on background vocals with an arrangement by Burt Bacharach. Here we go.
I won't break.
And start at the top.
I won't break. So you don't have to worry, 'cause I know what I can take. Too much has been taken, and I won't break. So you can come and go, because it's only my mistake, and one that I won't make again. Turn the radio up loud. Make it seem like there's a crowd. Wonder how it is I didn't know. Well, I guess it's true that love is blind. It's just that I thought we were doing fine. Baby, did I hear you say you want to go? Won't you run it by me one more time? Just one more time. It's just that I thought we were doing fine. Baby, I won't break. So you don't have to worry, 'cause I know what I can take. Too much has been taken, and I won't break. So you can come and go, because it's only my mistake, and one that I won't make again. Turn the radio up loud. Make it seem like there's a crowd. Wonder how it is I didn't know. Well, I guess it's true that love is blind. It's just that I thought we were doing fine.
Wow.
Grammarly helps make your writing
Unreal. It's the first time this has ever happened. In the very last little nugget of the songs, all of a sudden YouTube is going to commercials. You know, I've tried a bunch of things to get rid of that, and it just is what it is. But you get the essence of Carole's writing and performance. She's great. She's really great. It's so distracting when that happens. It's just like, man, who are you going to call? Groove busters is really what it comes down to. I had fun last night. I just was in a mood to play, and ended up playing the last Phil Collins tour we did, the Not Dead Yet tour. I played the show from top to bottom, and it was just fun just to kind of close my eyes and play it and just think back about being with all my buds on the road, and just how wonderful that tour was. Just the audiences were great. The band, the crew, everybody involved was just. It may have been the last hurrah. I don't know, but if that was, it was a good one to pack it in on with Phil. So, but we'll keep our fingers crossed. I never say never with this. And I had a great talk last evening with Lyle Lovett, because I'm going to be doing his large band summer tour with Russ Kunkel, and I are going out with him. And so hopefully we'll be hitting, all kinds of places where everybody comes on here is at, and we can maybe hook up and say hi and all that. It'll be a challenge when on the road in the summer, just to still be doing this every day and do the clubhouse and everything, but I'll figure out a way to make it all happen, because I enjoy it too much to let anything like a tour get in the way and distract it. So I'm going to wish everybody a wonderful week. It's kind of nice just starting out, just ease into it with Carole, and have some other ideas throughout the week. And that's it. So all I can say at that point is thank you, Dr. Martin Luther King, for your legacy. My thoughts again are with the people in the Pacific who have been impacted by this volcano and tsunami. Anybody who's had anything terrible happen because of this, but when nature decides to do things, we are not going to be able to do much about it. We are just that big in the overall scheme of things, even though we think we're a lot bigger. And things are somewhat picking up, but still rough out there. And the only way it's getting any better is with vaccinations. So, get out there and just do it. I've had so many people write to me and go, why was this never a problem when we were all in school and got our polio vaccines and whooping cough and chicken pox and diphtheria? Tons and tons of vaccinations during the course of our lives to protect us. And then this one comes along to protect us, and everybody, and so many people are going, no, I'm not going to do that. Well, you're not doing it. It's affecting everybody. It's not just you. So please just do it. And again, my thanks go out to all of the healthcare workers that are dealing with this. Everybody's dealing with it on a certain level, because the latest strain of it seems to be nailing everybody. But certainly in the medical community, it's a tough one for them. So my heart goes out to all of you. So I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to go take care of some things now, and I got some books to deliver and T-shirts and to the post office, and then a couple of errands to run, and that's it. And then I've got my charts here for tomorrow, for my session tomorrow, and like that. So I'll see you then. Okay, bye-bye.